Football is weird, hey. Cherries have some bad form and the season's over. Chuck your passports away. But one win and suddenly Cherries are back on track. It's on. Book your hotels now. Who says football fans are fickle? This Saturday, Andoni Iraola's side will look to continue the resilient form that saw them beat Fulham 1-0, and with a Palace side that may be a little bit downbeat after a 5-0 humiliation against JT's Newcastle United. Is this the time where Bournemouth should smell blood? It's AFC Bournemouth's third match in a row against a London club. We've taken 4 from 6. Can we take 7 from 9 against Palace? Tom, what are you thinking?
Well, it's going to be a toughie. It's a biggie, and it's one of them where you kind of go, I think everyone does it after a big defeat like they just had. You kind of go, right, does that mean reaction? They're not going to be as bad, they're going to react because they've got to make up for it. Or does that mean, they're in a bad run? Are they concentrating on the cup, which is obviously they're doing really well in? So, yeah, it's all going to be a bit of that. But at the end of the day, if we turn up, then I think we could have enough. But if they're on it, they're a very, very good side as well. So, be an interesting one. It's always, I've been to Sellers quite a lot, and I've either been there and we've just been far too good for them, or I've been there and they've been far too good for us. Not really been in between. So, be an interesting game, seeing all sorts of results there, but hopefully this is a good one.
The last time we went to Selhurst Park, we couldn't ask for more. See what I did there? Here's what happened. That was December 2023, and 2-0 win.
Yes, I remember it well. That was Iraola's only time at Selhurst, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, weirdly, I think you could probably argue that none of the ones involved in the 2 goals will play. So I think it was Sinistera to Senesi for the first goal. Yeah. Doubt either would start. Then Billing to Kiefer Moore. Definitely won't start. So yeah, and that's only in the space of one season. But yeah, we played well on the day. I thought they were a bit off it, but I remember thinking that was a really important one at the time. It was a really big away win when we were on a nice little run.
I think Jefferson Lerma hit the post from distance in that one. Do you remember?
He does that a lot, doesn't he? Done it in the cup the other week.
He does that
Can hit him
a lot. And look, we've played them already this season, of course. That was on Boxing Day, and that was a drab 0-0 affair.
We've done that before, by the way. 0-0 against Palace.
We have
on Boxing Day.
But look, though, the good luck is coming because, one, our resident Cherries fan from America, Deborah, and son Evan are going to be there, so we're going to get the points right. Yep. It's on you, Deborah. Also, Bill Foley is looking to be back as well. Maybe. Is he going to get someone to put pen to paper, maybe?
I'll sign anything you want, Bill, if that's what you're on about. Yeah, we've got a few, like you say, Deborah from the States down. I've seen 3 games of her in attendance. Have we lost any? Have we? And my brother's got a really bad record, by the way, which is not great, but he's come in. The last win he saw live for Bournemouth was at Selhurst Park, the one we just spoke about. So, good omens, mate. Good omens.
Good omens. Well, look, last game aside, Palace have had a bit of a resurgence lately, and their FA Cup semi-finalists too. In many ways, I think Cherries would probably like them to concentrate on the Cup this weekend, but not too much, because if they win the FA Cup, it affects the European places. Now, look, following our draw against Crystal Palace on Boxing Day, AFCB were in 6th place after 18 games with 29 points. Palace were in 16 with 17 points. Since then, we've gained 19 points and they've gained 26. They've done very well recently. Yes. We'll talk about that game on Wednesday night, surely. But first, I need to talk you through the league table. Here it is then. Cherries, top of the tree in that group of, 12 teams, mate. We are in 8th place. We needed that important green blob at the end there. Yes. We got it. It seems to be a 3-way shootout. And look, I'm not jumping the gun too much, but I will be looking at the remaining fixtures later on in this show and asking you to have a look and just maybe talk through a few of the consequences, because there are some teams in Europe, there are some teams in the Cup.
What's interesting, I thought, because I agree with you, it does look like 3 teams, but Palace have got us,
Yeah.
and Brentford have got Brighton.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they were both to win,
it could easily become.
Yeah, I mean, that would be massive for Fulham, but they've got Chelsea. So it's a really intriguing weekend, really. But yeah, loads of games yet to play, mate. I still think we'll have moments of the season where we go, that's done. And then moments of the season where we go, could we? So let's just see what happens. But I'm just really glad, like you say, mate, we got that win. Nice little 1-0 and just hopefully we can kick on now.
One thing about Bournemouth, I quite like being a Bournemouth fan based on the fact that every season, apart from last season, we've always got something going.
Yeah.
So we had the playoffs, we had the promotion, we had trying to survive.
Yeah.
And then last season was just mid-table obscurity.
But I'd even say last season for a personal, you're right, because it was mid-table, but we were trying to get that points total. So you're right, I can't remember the last time when, if you say that's trying to get something, well, we've had nothing.
Yeah.
Probably the first championship season where we come 10th. Yeah. I mean, and that was over a decade ago. So yeah, it is, like you say, it's exciting. Palace normally have the opposite, if we're being real. So quite good for them that they are still an outside chance and they're also FA Cup semi-finalists, mate.
But you just know they'll finish 12th where they always do.
Oh yeah, just put your house on it, yeah.
And look, let's take a look at the form table then. We're going based on the last 6. Bournemouth, you'll be pleased to know, have got out of that form relegation zone. We're in 16th. Crystal Palace on 9th. They would have been a fair bit higher had they got a result at St James's Park. Alas, they didn't. 9th meets 16th in the form table. And when we check home versus away, well, thankfully, because of our home win, we sort of elevated ourselves a little bit to 11th.
Yeah, you would say that goes in our favour because we're both teams are better away. So weirdly, you'd probably say, normally you'd go, oh, maybe Palace home advantage, but actually both teams are better on the road.
Yeah.
And I do think there's something in that, in the way that both teams play. Both, good footballing sides, but like to be able to counter.
Yeah.
Because I thought even the game against Newcastle, where obviously they got slapped, there was a few times early where you thought they're just looking to counter on Newcastle and they'll try and do that to us. And that's what we try and do. So it will be one of them games where both teams are trying to kind of implement the same sort of style.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think what you say lends into some average position comparisons later, where we compare a team of, similar footballing style to us, Brighton, when they played them at home and beaten 2-1, versus how they were laid out against Newcastle United as well in Wednesday's game. We're at the QP, the home of AFC Bournemouth supporters on a match day. It's been buzzing here recently, so anytime Cherries are playing at home, make sure you're here too. They've also got the classic Sunday roast for a tenner.
9. Oh, I'm season ticket holder, so it's £9. I forget not many of you are.
Bring your season ticket card and you get it for 9 as well. But it's the place to be on Cherries match day. Next home game is Sunday. Sunday coming.
And I have been told that I'm allowed to say that they will open at 11.
Ooh.
So, because obviously it's 2 o'clock kickoff rather than a 3. So you still got that same amount of time. So that'd be nice. So yeah, get on in here and hopefully celebrate after as well.
So look, Palace's recent results then, we're going to check out their form. And like you say, away from home, they've been very good. Glasner is one of the other managers that's been linked with the Spurs job. Of course, Iraola for us, also Silva as well. There are some maybe distant murmurings of Thomas Frank's name as well. So since that game on Boxing Day, away from home, they've won 4, drawn 1 and lost 2. But bearing in mind, those 2 that they lost were Newcastle United and Manchester City, right? So
the 2 teams we haven't lost to in the league.
All right, mate. Let's have a look at their results, though. Starting in, say, March 2025, then, mate. Some Cup, some Premier League. You have to talk me through these, and we'll have a look.
I remember watching the FA Cup game because it was on the telly. I think it was the early one, and that was for everyone. Just remembers it from Mateta getting kicked in the face. That did change. Obviously, it was a red card, and that did change the game. But they were pretty comfortable in the end over Millwall. In the Premier League, obviously got over the line against Ipswich, which, not all of us do, so fair play. It's got some club friendly on there. They must have done that when it was international break, I guess.
Yeah, I think we had the FA Cup and they had nothing. They organised but they won that anyway.
Yeah, they did win that. And then the Cup win, I watched this away at Fulham. I thought, I fancy Fulham there. Palace were brilliant because they just let Fulham have the ball, but was so solid. I thought, our man, Jefferson Lerma had a brilliant game.
More and more teams are developing the style of not wanting the ball on.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I thought that game, God, they're well coached there. They look really, really well coached. And because they can break, they're so explosive on the break. So yeah, they were really good in that game. Drawing at Southampton.
That's a last-minute equaliser for them as well.
Yeah, that Frank, I think, one of the smallest on the pitch, guy. Yeah, obviously Southampton can't win football matches, so I appreciate that. But drawing a Southampton, I almost think it should be a points deduction at this point.
Yeah,
if
I
you
think so.
If you drop points against Southampton, but they didn't lose it, like you say, at the end. And then they always love beating Brighton, don't they? It's that weird rivalry. It's probably weirder than ours with Southampton, but they got over the line. Really good win. City game was weird because they were 2-0 up and absolutely flying.
They were so good in that first 30 minutes.
It was crazy.
And they had a
game.
third that was obviously offside.
Yes, and that may have changed obviously the game, but yeah, and then it just felt like when City stepped up, they couldn't cope with it. It was games that we've had similarly, obviously completely different scoreline, but when we played City in the Cup, it felt like they couldn't cope with us first half, and then second half, we just couldn't get the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably more on City, and then the Newcastle one. Not a good side to play Newcastle. They are on fire, and they got JT obviously in the dugout, which helps a lot. But no, weird game because Palace missed that penalty as a awful penalty. Be interested to see if he was on the next one if they got one. But he as soon as he missed that penalty and Newcastle went straight up the other end and scored, that was the deciding moment. If he scores that, who knows what the game would be. And
well,
then
that's similar to Man City when they disallowed goal. Then Man City scored straight away, so it was quite a sucker punch. But yeah, shipping 10 goals in their last 2 games is not
that's nice
overly
for us.
great. And by the way, that penalty miss. I mean, credit to Nick Pope there because you saw him look as though he was going to shift to the right, and then he went the other way.
I think the fact that
clever.
it was a poor penalty is getting looked at a lot when really you should go, actually, there's a bit of intelligence there for the goalkeeper because he could have just gone really early. It's a fair play to Pope. But yeah, nice that they missed a penalty because if they decide to change or stick with Eze, I remember going to Selhurst and seeing them miss a penalty because they gave it to Benteke to try and boost his confidence, and he just passed it to Begovic. I do remember that, so that's a good little sign, mate.
But look, we talk about away being better than home form. They're actually not bad at home, given that they've won each of their last 3 Premier League home matches. Their only ever run of 4 home wins came last season in April, May, where I think they finished 10th last season. They just finished a barnstorming finish from out of nowhere. What about a head-to-head record, though? I'm sure you're interested in that. We've played them in pretty much every division going. We'll check out since the start of the Premier League, and it was okay for us, and then it got pretty bad, and then it's been okay again. So after winning 5 consecutive Premier League games against Bournemouth between May 2019 and 2023, Palace have now failed to win or even score in their last 3 against the Cherries.
Hello.
Do
you remember the little, I forget about the cup as well. Do you remember the one we did a watch along for?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it went to loads of penalties. The keepers had to take them, didn't they?
Yeah.
I remember that one as well. But yeah, it does seem like it feels like over the course, I thought it'd probably be quite even, but it feels like we've had a lot of tight games.
Yeah. There's a stat over there. I'm going to pluck it out of the air. This is one for you, Palace fans. In all competitions, right, Oliver Glasner has won 13 of his 26 home games as Crystal Palace manager. That's a win ratio of 50%, obviously. Of managers to take 20 or more games at Selhurst Park, this is the best win ratio since Ian Dowie.
Oh, lovely.
Absolute
that's a nice one, isn't it?
He won 32 of 61 home games between 2003 and 2006. That's 52.5%. Fair play. So in all competitions then, AFC Bournemouth have won 31, drawn 21 and lost 28.
Let's have it.
Come on. So how's the game going to go then? We need to talk about it. Palace, they might be concentrating on the cup. They might be bruised. They might be angry. But either way, they'll be leggy.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. But as you say, mate, it's because they played a lot of game without the ball and didn't do much. They'll be frustrated. But as I mentioned earlier, it could be right. We need to react for the supporters and stuff. Now they've had a long trip to Newcastle in a week and got pumped. So
concentrate on the cup, lads.
Yeah, I do think they should concentrate on the cup. But when they get to the cup, make sure they're rubbish. But yeah, they've still got good players all over the pitch. I think Mateta's always one that worries me because of his physical prowess. He's never done brilliant against us, so you feel like he will at some point, which is why Eze's always a quality player.
Mateta's 18 goals in 22 Premier League appearances at Selhurst Park under Glasgow.
Very good.
The most ever by a Palace player on home soil under a single manager. He's managing a goal every 98 minutes, mate.
Yeah, no, he does it really good. He's having a great season, to be fair to him. And yeah, I think that what surprised me as well against Newcastle, maybe it's more credit to Newcastle, I actually think when they play with that back 3, they're quite solid. We've also seen Gay even in an England shirt, and he's always pretty consistent. confident, and yeah, they've got good players all over the park. My surprise, and I don't know if it's because he was maybe carrying something. I couldn't believe that Wharton didn't start.
Yeah.
Because I think he's top. So I think he will come onto the team news, but I think he'll probably come back in. But apart from that, they're in a decent spot. It's just, yeah, they'll be looking at it again, hopefully just a hiccup, whereas we'll be going, well, I'll win. Hopefully that's the start of something.
Yeah, you mentioned Eze. He's had a hand in 19 Premier League goals in his last 30 home appearances for Crystal Palace. That's 12 goals and 7 assists. But for us, we don't know the team news because Iraola's press conference is on the Friday. That is after we're recording. But we're hoping that Justin Cliver might well be back.
Yes.
One thing that's good for us, of course, is backfiring, of course. I mean, when I say backfiring, it backfired when he hit the crossbar, but he's back scoring the goals, apart from the last game, of course. He's actually scored 6 goals in his last 9 away Premier League appearances. And if we have Justin Cliver as well, we know his away goal record as well, scoring 10 away goals this season. In fact, 2024-25 is the first campaign to see 2 Cherries players find the net 5 or more times on the road in the top flight.
Lovely stuff.
Stats galore. So look, we'll check out the average positions. When they played Brighton at home, they won it 2-1. They look sort of almost fairly defensive. They let Brighton have the ball, and it was a game where they countered. But against Newcastle, where they got battered, they're much more advanced. I do wonder whether that's because they were like chasing the game, and
probably a bit of
trying
that
to make some inroads. Yeah,
probably a bit of that, mate. But I also feel, and you can see that there, as it looked to me early on. Obviously, Eze's probably their most talented player, especially at the top end of the pitch. And from Newcastle's point of view, even though he's brilliant, you look at Newcastle's team and go, maybe you target Trippier being a bit more leggy, a bit older. And it looked like they were targeting that side. Mitchell's very high. It did feel like they were trying to expose themselves onto that side. And they, to be fair, they tried to press them and were doing all right, but they just kept getting picked off. It was a weird one. I think Newcastle deserve a lot of credit, but as you say, mate, they had to kind of throw caution to the wind once they let in the second. So that's going to happen. Whereas the Brighton game was close and they could stay compact and try and break on them, and it worked.
So how's it going to go then? Because look, yes, Palace and Brentford could come back into the mix, but let's just take a look at the table for what it is. And we know that we're on 48 points, along with Fulham and along with Brighton. And look, I'm not preempting anything. I'm not thinking of the E word, but I'm going to put a graphic on screen for anyone watching YouTube that compares the 3 clubs' last 6 fixtures. Okay. Whose fixtures would you rather have, Tom? I'm telling you right now, I'd rather have Brighton's, I think.
That's fine. I'm quite happy with ours. Just because of the fact that obviously, you can say what you want about on paper and stuff. We've lost games to Ipswich and Leicester, so let's not get overboard with that. I think we obviously remains to be seen, but United could be focused on other things. Arsenal, we've got them in the middle of 2 ties with Paris Saint-Germain, the Champions League semi-final. Villa, we could potentially have just before the Cup. Man City could have it all wrapped up, and then Leicester will be down. So I don't think it's the worst in the world in context, but I think all of them are actually quite evenly matched, which is great. If you say that, let's say that in the next fixtures when we're playing Palace, that everyone gets the same, because I think that could happen. Like all 3 draws, so all the same. Fulham will beat Southampton. I think Brentford will beat West Ham, and I think we'll beat Man U. So I think we'll all be joint still. I think Fulham will lose to Villa. I think Brighton will struggle to beat Newcastle. Will struggle to beat Arsenal. So you're probably giving it all pretty similar again.
Yeah.
Fulham, Everton, fancy them. Brentford, Wolves, fancy them. Us at Villa, we could be struggling. Then Fulham get a Brentford, tough place to go. Brighton play Liverpool beat them, and then we got to City nick a point, right? Make it difficult. Last game of the season, Fulham have got City, who City have just they're gutted because they've just dropped points to Bournemouth, so they beat Fulham. Brighton go to Spurs. Spurs probably have a new manager, want to end the season well, and we smash Leicester and we get in there.
Well, the only
I don't mind that going through them all. I don't mind it.
When I look at Brighton's games, right? I don't think any of those teams will have anything to play for. Brentford,
Newcastle, second.
I suppose Brentford being first of those 6 is quite good because Brentford have still got a chance, basically.
West Ham, I think, are always playing for something because they've got a relatively new manager and he's trying to. Do you know what I mean? So he wants points.
Newcastle, I think Champions League will affect it. I think Newcastle are dead certs for the Champions League. I know the league table doesn't look like that, but the way they're playing.
We know Eddie, he'll want second. I think they can nick second with Arsenal concentrating on the Champions League. That'd be massive for them.
Wolves, though. Nothing. Liverpool,
tough place to go.
Done by then.
Yeah, but Liverpool play them with no fear, just smash it, and then Spurs will go right. We got to end the season well. I'm telling you, mate, it's happening. All right, shut up.
Okay, then let's check out the Crystal Palace Team news. Of
look
course,
all right.
Chet Doucouré has been out injured, and that is their only main loss.
Riyadh, yeah, they're pretty good because Riyadh and Doucouré have been out for a fair while. So unless there's anything that's happened on Wednesday that we're unaware of at this moment, they're looking pretty good, Nick, mate.
And according to PremierLeagueInjuries.com, so you got NSU now. Of course, we know about Christie, but Cini in Cliver, we think might be involved. Cini, not so sure. It'd be a bonus if he could be named on the bench, really.
It would.
But we're not sure.
I think the problem with Cini as well is even if he's one that you think he can make the bench, he keeps coming back and getting injured again. So I think they'll be really careful with him, to be honest. But yeah, hopeful on Cliver, mate.
I've got a question for you, Tom.
Oh, go on.
Do you want to know?
Oh, right. We just spoke about the Palace Newcastle game. I was trying to watch a bit of that, but I was also watching Arsenal Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know that thing they go, we only overturn if it's clear and obvious. It took them over 5 minutes to make a clear and obvious decision. Doing my head in.
I also was confused with the fact that when Nick Pope got penalised for apparently clattering into, who was it for Palace? I can't remember. One of their players went down.
Yeah, they won the penalty.
That was looked at. I think Pope actually just slightly touched the ball, but obviously followed through a little bit. But that was a pen. But remember Onana against Wolverhampton Wanderers, first Gary O'Neill's game where the Wolves player got absolutely clattered. Yeah. And that was not a pen.
And I think our last game, I'm not sure if it's a pen or not, but I definitely think Pope gets more of the ball than Leno did on ever. But they're really good and consistent, and they always do the clear and obvious, and got good technology that helps the game.
But they apologise for that, so it's all it's fine.
That getting the point.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But one set of people can watch your TV and think one thing, another set can watch your set TV a few days later and think actually they're wrong.
Yeah, but anyway, mate, to answer your question, no, I don't care, but tell me anyway.
Sam Barrett.
What does that mean? Adam Barrett, he played for both clubs.
He's not had any games for us this season, but last season, Burnley and Everton.
Oh, what? Both their own games? Yeah. Won both? Oh, happy days.
Come on, let's take it. Right, play for both then. We've got an 11. I've tried to mix it up as much as I possibly can, mate, and I've chucked in a few curveballs here. But these players, roughly in the right positions, played for both Palace and Bournemouth. So we'll start in goal, DF.
Dalfahaven.
One thing I realised is I need to say the initials for people that are listening to the pod because otherwise they're just not knowing. Okay.
Good shout.
So right back, JW.
Joel Ward.
Well done. We've got centre-backs of IC and JC.
GC, actually, not J.
Oh, what did I say? J, sorry.
Yeah, Gary Cahill and Ian Cox.
Correct. JV at left-back?
RIP, Jamie Vincent.
Yeah, okay. In midfield, one of them a little bit of a curveball because he played everywhere. We got an LB and a CF.
Well, I know CF's Carl Fletcher.
Yeah.
I'm guessing what you've done is a player that, yes, he played everywhere. I can't remember playing centre midfield.
He did play midfield a couple of times.
Oh, right. Is it Lee Bradbury?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I actually didn't know he played for Palace. It's just because of the LB, just to be honest. There.
I've put LG rather than putting him up front. I've given him a role on the left-hand side.
I realised who it is. Lewis Graben.
Yeah. Also, on the right
I don't know who this is.
We've got a DD, but this is back in the day, and I'm sure you've got his head.
Oh, is it Dickie Dowsett?
Dickie Dowsett.
Yeah, I've got him there, yeah. Oh, I didn't know anything about him. It's just the DD. SL.
We've got an SL, and then we've got a CS as well.
Oh, I'm guessing CS is Charlie Sheringham.
Correct.
Well played. That was a good one for you. SL. See, I know an SL, but I don't think he played for Palace. Shane Long. No. SL. Steve Lovell. See, I didn't know he played for Palace either. Yeah. That's just going on the initial. We could do it because sometimes I don't know they played for both, but I know the initial that it probably is. Don't know whether a different way of doing it potentially. We'll have to have a think maybe next season. Think,
let us know. Dan Hall, we chatted to at the development game, was another person that says, I can't believe you get it all. We're going to have to mix it up because Tom's getting these too regularly. Yeah, and these are some other names, like you said, Adam Barrett, Nathaniel Klein, of course, I could have said. Also Jimmy Glass, Stephen Henderson.
Yeah.
I could have put him in. I could have put Jefferson Lerma, but that would have been way too obvious, as would have Glenn Murray. Georgian Dar, classic. Yeah. Tony Scully, we've done that. Frank Songo.
That's what we were talking about at the development game, wasn't it? Frank Songo. And I said, I remember him. He played for Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know why I know that.
Also Gareth Williams as well, and David Woosley.
Yeah, I vaguely remember Woosley, because I think that was when I started going, so I remember his name, but I don't say RW either. I'm glad you didn't put him in.
Right, let's look at Matt's stats then. He's taken a look at the last 4 games for Crystal Palace. They only had one home game, which was Brighton. 3 aways, Saints, Man City and Newcastle. Palace gained 4 points, scoring 5 goals and conceded 12. This compares with an XG of 5.16 goals and an XGC of 7.02, respectively, indicating clinical finishing / luck for the Palace. The average positions of the starting lineups are below. They seem to play in a belt across the middle of the park, with the exception, of course, being Man City, where they were forced back. Of course, that second half was tough viewing for many an Eagle, I'm absolutely certain. And then the summary stats over the last 4 games. Goal attempts per game and big chances are notably in Cherries' favour, although Palace have scored the same number of goals. Goals against per game conceded are in our favour, as are big chances conceded. Also, the possession percentage as well, that's in Bournemouth's favour. Now, I say favour, is that a good thing? Although Palace have a higher pass completion percentage, Bournemouth conceding a higher proportion of chances from set plays. That's a stat we need to be wary of. And we create a lower proportion from set pieces ourselves. But maybe that's not surprising, given that 3 of our last 4
That's what I was going to say.
were Brentford, Ipswich and West Ham.
I was going to say, I love all the stats and that. It's always good fun. But I reckon there should be a rule that if there's a penalty in a game, it should be null and void, because Palace had a better XG than Newcastle.
Oh, what?
And lost
Isn't it
5-0. Because the penalties give
0.8?
is something so high, because you go on us, it's just, it kind of makes it void, doesn't it? Especially if they missed a pen. But yeah, I just think, I mean, a Palace fan's buzzing because they're better XG in a 5-0 defeat. I doubt it.
Maybe not. Okay, let's do Tom's teams then, the predictions. Okay, we'll start with Palace then in a 3-4-3. Thomas, what are you going for?
Yes, I think I'll stick with their kind of 3 at the back with wing backs. Henderson will be in goal, not the Stephen Henderson that played for both. This is Dean Henderson. I'm going to go with Richards, Lacroix, who I think is quite underrated actually. Lacroix, I think he's done well for him, and Gahey.
Oggy.
Yes, Oggy Gahey. Munoz, right wing back, and Tariq Mitchell, left wing back. I'm going to bring in Wharton, definitely. I think Will Hughes did have the best of games, and I think, Wharton at home, get on the ball and stuff. And then obviously, hope he has an off day, but I'll give you a little clap, Jefferson Lerma. I saw him score a worldie at Sellers for Bournemouth. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. He was
yeah.
booked against in the Newcastle game. I was praying for him.
If he had got another one, there would have been conspiracies, wouldn't they?
But they took him off to protect him, obviously.
Yeah, but I think he'll be in there. I mean, there is a case he's dropped into the 3 at times, but I think with Richards available, I think he'll stay in there.
He played a left back once when he played at our place once.
Played everywhere. Sarr on the right, who's dangerous with his pace. Eze off that left side, and I'm pretty sure they'll stick with Mateta. They've got players like Nketiah that they could rotate in because they've had a midweek game, but I think they'll go strong and then rotate during the game.
That's for Bournemouth then. What's it to be? 4-2-3-1?
Yeah, Kepa definitely staying goal. One of his best games, I thought, against Fulham. Smithy continuing at right back. Bringing Zabani back in for sure to play with Howson. Kirkes left back. I'm going to stick with Adams and Cook. Obviously, no Christie. I thought Scott had a really good game, but I just think that we're going to throw a little bit of a curveball and just start Kluivert. I just think we'll start Kluivert and say to him, give us an hour. Give us an hour. Full pelt, go for it, rather than try and end the game really strong. I think we'll go for it, start Kluivert on the hour. You've got Tav and Scott to be able to come on. I think Semenyo will start on one side. I think Dango Batara done enough to keep his place over Brooksy, and then obviously Evan Nilsson up front.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
wow.
I'd be well happy with that.
So, prediction time then. We want yours in the comments below. So, tap away, let us know what you think. Before I come to you, Tom, I'm going to fire a few stats at you. Okay. Of course, we know about the 2-2 record in London.
Oh, mental.
My God. Is that going to be the case again? But either way, before that, Bournemouth have scored 32 away Premier League goals this season. Only Liverpool have scored more. It's actually our most in a top flight campaign, with 27 being their previous most. And that was from last season. Irreparable. Don't you just love it? So we know that each of Bournemouth's last 2 away Premier League matches have ended 2-2, and they've both scored and conceded 2 or more goals in 7 away games this season, the joint most of any side along with Liverpool. Bournemouth, they are, however, winless in their last 10 Premier League matches in London. Drawing 5, losing 5 since that 2-0 at Palace in December 2023. But of course, we know that each of our last 4 games in the capital have all been 2-2 draws. Is this going to follow suit, mate, or what?
No.
Okay.
This can't be another 2-2. Not that I'd be the worst in the world. I mean, I want to win the game, but it's all context. If Brighton and Fulham both drop points and we get a point, we'll all be pretty happy. But yeah, obviously we like to try and win it if we can. I think it's going to be a really good game, actually. I think both teams will have a lot of chances. I'm going to go for Crystal Palace 2, AFC Bournemouth 3.
What?
Yeah.
Tommy Jordan, more like Tommy Hardon.
got a feeling, mate. It's got a little feeling. Someone just say it anyway, Jebbo off the bench. But no, I think we'll just nick it, mate. And obviously, you're not allowed to predict that we win.
Oh, because you did it for me for Fulham and we won. So superstition. All right, I'm not going to make a prediction. Tell me what to say, Tom.
2-2. Another 2-2 in London.
2-2. There you go. That's what I think.
No, you have to. Tell me off camera. No.
I'll tell Telegram what I really think. By the way, we really appreciate everyone on Telegram. That's the equivalent to WhatsApp. We've got a private Back of the Net members group. Anyone, you know the names at the end that scroll up, right? All those people support us for as little as £3 a month and to reward their ongoing contributions to help us fund everything we do with Back of the Net. We put on the Ko-fi, feed extra content every so often on Telegram. And yeah, it's a really lovely chat group as well. And Tom gives you an extra little bonus with his player ratings. We even showed them one of the goals from the Academy game and some behind the scenes stuff from that when we were there. So yeah, really good stuff. And if you want to get involved, go to afcbpodcast.com/coffee. Tom, I think I'm looking forward to it. I think so.
If long as we can see the pitch at Selhurst, then I'll be. That's a way to tick early doors. And
well,
then
you pick the ticket, so it's all on you if we don't.
Up the chest.
Up the chest. See you in the next one.
Oh, lovely. David Woosley.
Have we got good seats this time?
Yeah, we're right.